innovation and digital, because for a fast moving consumer goods company, innovation is the lifeblood of exciting the consumer, and digital is going to be a way of life in which you're going to run the company going forward. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, if I gave ourselves marks, and I started on the 3rd of April, we probably were 3 out of 10, right? So all the stuff which you hear from every other FMCG company, we didn't have it, right? So if I ask for secondary sales, what's that? Oh, we'll get it at the end of the month. Any good company should know your real-time secondary sales, right? Adding a distributor, like ma'am said, there was a document which used to move through the system and some 15 people had to sign on it, and by the time this thing, the dealer said, forget it, I'm not interested in joining, right? As simple as that. So we embarked on this digital journey, and in that digital journey, the front of FMCG company, there is a system called DMS and SFA. The DMS is Distributor Management System, and SFA is Salesforce, not Salesforce as a company, but the salesman's application, right? That is probably the most critical piece in an FMCG company, because that is where I come from, PepsiCo, where Don Kendall said, the real thing in a company only happens when someone sells something to someone, right? Ultimately, your revenue generation happens there. So unless you know what is happening, doesn't matter what else you do, you'll be a blind man walking around, right? So the system that was put in motion was a system which was about 15 years old by the time we were implementing it in 2020, but we didn't have an option, so we went with it, because at least something is better than nothing. But then, about a year and a half back, we sat back and said, we have a problem and we need to solve it. And it so happened that at that point of time, Salesforce came and started talking to us. And that was, like I say, all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place for a very simple reason. Every other system in India is written as code, right? Which means you want to make a change tomorrow, you go back to line number 20,240 and start changing it, right? Whereas Salesforce is a platform. It's the best-in-class platform globally, which is always updated. So you don't have to sit and figure out line item wise. That's number one. Number two, anything that you want to change or introduce, etc., because it's a platform, you run it as an API. So you don't have to tinker around with the main body of the code. You can just add and subtract separately. So the agility which you get into your system, right? It's a world-class system. You don't have to worry about keeping up with best in class, and whatever you want to do, you don't have to worry about tinkering with your main system. I think these are the two things which appeal to us the most, and that's the reason we went with it. Incidentally, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first implementation in general trade across the world for Salesforce. Yeah, because Salesforce is probably one of the world's best known CRMs, but it is all modern trade. In general trade, we were slightly apprehensive when we started off. We were not very sure whether it will go well, not go well, what hiccups, but like ma'am said, I think it went through very, very smoothly. So we had a neural engine in the middle of our system. We codenamed it Mavic, Magic and Maverick. That is the two words coming together. So we are an FMCG company, so we have got to give a brand and a name for everything, right? So this is what my team came out with. Now, it not only services my GT business, it also services my modern trade and institutions. We are starting up a food service business. It's going to service that. We've got about 2,000 vending machines now. It services that. So, and each of these verticals has a different need and a different data set to manage. And this system is capable of managing all of that. And SFA, which is the DMS, is sitting at the distributor end, and SFA is the salesman carrying along with him into the retail outlets. Pulse 360 is, I've got 6,000 salesmen now, which means I've got 6,000 people who can collect data. But I cannot be reaching out to them on a one-on-one basis and figuring out data collection, etc. Mavic has got the ability, anyone who sees a price change, anyone who sees a new SKU introduction, anyone who sees a competitive move, that can get plugged in and it gets picked up centrally. So we have real-time information on not only our business on what's happening in terms of every SKU, every product, we have ability to pick up real-time information on competitive moves. Integrated sales and service platform powered by Salesforce. Consumer grade UI UX. We actually designed the front to make it intuitive. Salesmen and asked them to come back and tell us what, and then we modified it. We went to distributors, gave it to them and say, please let us know what works, what doesn't, then we modified it. Speed to market, 7 months. Incidentally, 7 months, even the other legacy platforms will never be implemented in 7 months. This was starting from scratch, from design to implementation, not just out of the box implementation. Design to implementation in 7 months. 3,000 distributors in 3 months. That's the speed of implementation. We did a pilot for about 2 months. We observed the pilot and then just rolled it across. The whole sales system is enabled. It's not. So it's delivery, it's 360, there's a retailer app, I can integrate WhatsApp, ordering, everything. And MuleSoft made all this integration happen very smoothly. I get a real-time